course. Several communities in Gauteng and the Western Cape are continuously plagued by gang-related violence. In the Western Cape, 3 suspects were arrested for killing a 6-year-old boy in Hanover Park on Monday. It is reported that the boy was killed during an alleged gang shooting. In the Gauteng community of Westbury and Eldorado Park are also battling gang-related violence, where individuals and the police were caught in the crossfire. Joining us is ActionSA Gauteng Provincial Chairperson, Mr. Funzi Ngobeni. A pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon, sir. Firstly, what prompted ActionSA to organize this picket, this at the Gauteng police offices in response to gang and drug-related violence, especially considering the recent incidents like the tragic death of the 6-year-old that we spoke about just now?
Yes, Ntanda, that's correct. I mean, that's one of the, events or at least occurrences that have prompted this. I mean, for the past few months, and we've seen quite a lot of people being killed in Westbury, in Eldorado Park, Rivali, in the Western Cape, as you have correctly indicated. And this violence continues, and it takes a center stage at some point, and then we all forget about it, and it comes back again. And we have seen the president, we have seen the ministers, we have seen mayors going into these areas, and pledging that they will support the victims and support the communities, pledging that they will increase visibility, they will enforce the law in those areas, and that has failed. So far, the residents and communities in those areas feel like they've been left on their own. They are battling all these criminalities on their own. Young people are being killed on a daily basis. Their parents are traumatized. It's hell in those areas, and we don't see the president, we don't see the minister saying anything about this matter. So we thought we must highlight them. We must bring them to the headquarters of SAPS in the province, and we are asking them to escalate this to the presidency and to the minister.
So as ActionSA, the party has also mentioned a plan to address issues in Eldorado Park and Westbury specifically. Could you share some insights into these proposed plans and how they aim to positively impact the lives of residents and also address these long-standing issues of violence that you speak about?
Yeah, look, I mean, in the memorandum that we delivered to SAPS in Gauteng, we are asking for a 72-hour joint operation that will be implemented there. We know that in the past they've said that they will increase the number of police in this area, they will increase enforcement, and then they will later on obviously remove that and so forth. So we are saying this must be intensified. At least we want a 6-month intelligence-driven operation there, because we have noticed as well that without intelligence they are unable to really get to the perpetrators. Remember, we are dealing with drug-related criminals here, and in some instances we tend to focus our attention to the user instead of focusing our attention to the root cause. People that are giving young people these drugs to sell and that are running the cartels in our communities. We need those people to be uprooted and to be removed from society and so forth. So those are some of the things that we are asking. We are asking really for the SAPS to intensify their operations in those areas. We need more police on the ground. If needs be, we are asking that the South African National Defence Force must be deployed so that they can be able to assist and augment the work that is happening there. But like you are correctly saying, Kantla, some of these matters, if you're actually looking at them, you can see that these are socio-economic realities that are pushing all this criminality to happen in our communities. In our communities, in the areas I've mentioned, they've always raised an issue that they are being neglected when it comes to economic prosperity. They are being forgotten when it comes to job employment, when it comes to opportunities, and that needs to be addressed. These are socio-economic issues of poverty, of unemployment, that are really the root cause of what we are experiencing in these communities. And we cannot really be focusing internationally and looking at what is happening in other areas, when we are unable to fix our own issues, we are able to serve our own residents in our own country. I think, we need to really prioritize them at this moment and ensure that they are able to be, to live, for them to be able to live safe with their community without worry that the next day one of their community members, a relative, their son, is going to be murdered brutally in this gang-related violence that we are seeing.
Let's keep with your last thought. I mean, ActionSA has emphasized restoring the rule of law as part of its call. How do you envision achieving this goal, especially in areas where communities are faced with persistent violence and crime?
Yes, I think the first thing, and we must be clear about this, Ntlanta, is that we don't have confidence in this government. The current government has failed South Africans, and if you look broadly and look at what is happening in our country, the lawlessness that we see every day. I mean, currently we are dealing with issues of poisoning of our kids, from food that is expired in communities. We are dealing with cash in transit highs that are happening almost on a daily basis. 80 people lose their lives in South Africa almost on a daily basis. We have lost confidence in this government being able to restore the rule of law. So the first thing we need to do as South Africans, we must exercise our right. We are going to election in 2024. We must vote them out, and we must bring in the government that has a political will to restore the rule of law in this country. One of the things that needs to happen, we need to professionalize civil service, particularly the SAPS. We know that there's a lot of police in our ranks who are committed, who wants to serve the community, are being let down by the system, are being let down by inept leadership that is currently in the public safety. We want to make sure that we restore them, but we need to obviously engage our communities. It must take a bottom-up approach where we are able to engage our communities, work with them, and when we want to employ people like crime wardens, like what has happened in Gauteng, it must be people that are not affiliated to ActionSA, that are not affiliated to ANC. It must be committed citizens that are saving our people. We do have SAPS reservists that have been working for many, many years with the police, and most of them are disgruntled at the moment because they are overlooked when it comes to employment of police. We need to look at those people who are committed, who have been volunteering their lives, putting their lives at risk, trying to serve the community, and we need to empower them and bring them into the service. So for us, it must be a holistic approach, but first and foremost, we must remove this government.
Let's crystallize some of the points that you make, and also in light of this urgency expressed by the party, how do you plan to indeed collaborate with local authorities, faith-based organizations, the communities themselves and NGOs to also ensure a coordinated effort in addressing the challenges faced by some of these communities?
Yes, we have already started doing that. We are working very closely with faith-based organizations, with communities. We are working with, as I mentioned, even South African police reservists that have come to us, and they are giving us intelligence into what is happening and how we can be able to address these matters. They are giving us their grievances as well, which we are championing, with the relevant authorities. But we want to work with, and this battle and all the battles that has to deal with law enforcement, they need to involve communities themselves. We need to work very closely with community organizations, the NGOs that are operating in these communities, and that will take, as you correctly say, a concerted effort that is coordinated, that will be able to assist us to uproot criminals that are staying, within our communities. Some of these criminals, they live with us. They are in our back rooms. We have rented rooms to them. And some of them we have rented our own houses to them, and we need to be able to engage robustly and openly, honestly with communities to say these criminals need to be removed out of our communities so that we can be able to be safe. So that will take a concerted effort, not only from the authorities but also from the communities themselves.
As we wrap up, Mr. Ngobeni, the recent deaths have undoubtedly left many families devastated. What support mechanisms or even interventions do you believe are essential for these affected families, and how can the broader community contribute to these efforts?
Yes, and we are looking at, obviously, the South African Police Services. They do have a unit that deals with trauma and that is able to ensure that, there is counseling that happens after this event. We do know that in some instances this has been provided, but we want to make sure that this is a consistent a service that is given to our communities because you correctly indicated it affects everyone. It's not only affecting people who are within these gangs themselves, but it affects their families. It affects their parents, who are left traumatized. There are children who are supposed to go to school every day and concentrate, but thinking about what has happened to their families. So this is really something that we cannot take lightly, and I think as South Africans we need to really be inward looking when it comes to these issues and try and prioritize the issues that really affect our residents. And like I said, most of these issues will be resolved by addressing socio-economic issues that currently, we experience in South Africa. The high unemployment rate in South Africa, if you look at it, almost 70% of our young people are not working. And you'll find them in these communities now being directed into gangs so that they can be able to make a living, and some of them, ending up selling drugs and so forth. So these issues need to be addressed holistically, and we need a government that is committed, that will be able to prioritize South Africans.
ActionSA's Funzi Ngobeni, thank you for shedding light on this critical issue of gang and drug-related violence in Gauteng.